What if the real reason you're not making progress isn't a lack of time, but the constant noise in your head, plans that never take shape, priorities that fade away, energy wasted on things that don't matter enough? 1 week can change everything if you choose to live it with intention, with focus, following the rules of those who've already mastered inner chaos. The Stoics picture yourself waking up on a Monday knowing that nothing and no one is going to steal your focus. That every decision you make is driven by clarity, inner strength, and a solid purpose. This isn't a fantasy. It's what happens when you stop winging your week and start building it with intention. The Stoics understood that productivity isn't about doing more, but about doing what matters, with consistency and meaning. Today, I'm going to share the keys they use to stay grounded even in the middle of chaos. If you apply these lessons, not only will you have an incredibly productive week, you'll start designing a life that truly feels like your own. If you're tired of paddling without feeling like you're getting anywhere, this video might be the moment where everything starts to fall into place. Before we go on, tell me in the comments which habit is hardest for you to stick to. Focus, discipline, or consistency. This isn't about saying the right thing. It's about identifying your real first step. If you're ready to commit, write in the comments, "Today I start organizing my life." And if you really want this week to be different, hit subscribe. Here, we turn intention into action and action into results. Get ready, because what's coming might change the way you work and the way you live. Let's do this. Lesson number 1. Wake up before your excuses. Picture a quiet early morning. Everything's still. The alarm hasn't even gone off yet. But somewhere in your mind, a battle is already being fought. Marcus Aurelius knew this when he wrote to himself at dawn. You were made to act, not to hide under the covers. And there it is. The first challenge of the day, 30 seconds. That's all the time it takes for the war between giving in to inertia or choosing yourself. Who's in charge of your morning, you or your autopilot? Because that's where everything starts. Epictetus made it clear, you can't control the weather or what waits for you outside, but you can control your response to that first thought begging for 5 more minutes. That first gesture of the day is no small detail. It's the decision that sets your identity. If you hit snooze, your entire decision-making system learns that delaying is acceptable. But if you get up, the rest of your day inherits that same pattern of coherence between intention and action. Think of the snooze button as a contract. Every time you press it, you're signing an extension with yesterday's version of yourself. You're saying, I agree to keep being the same. But today, you can rewrite the contract, add a new clause that simply says, I get up at the first sound. It's like a revolving airport door. Either you step out into the day with purpose, or you keep spinning in circles, dizzy but going nowhere. Let me tell you what happened to Lucia. She's a mom, a nurse, and gets very little sleep. Every morning is a battle. She decided to change just one small rule. Phone away from the bed and a handwritten note on her nightstand with a line from Meditations. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. She forced herself to stand up in 3 breaths. No more negotiation. After 7 days, something shifted. No, she still didn't love waking up early, but her self-esteem grew because she kept a promise to herself before anyone else asked anything from her. That invisible gesture built something no productivity course ever could. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself at dawn. Harsh reminders, not sugary motivation. He wasn't trying to feel like it. He was trying to be reliable to himself. And that's the difference between wanting a productive week and actually building one. It's not about waking up inspired every morning. It's about deciding who you are before the world tells you who you should be. So, how do you do it? Start with a pre-decision the night before. Set out what you'll do first thing when you wake up. Make it physical and visible. That way you lower the cognitive friction. Your brain doesn't have to decide anything, it just acts. When the alarm rings, do 2 physical actions that don't require thought. Feet on the floor and curtains open. That's it. You don't need heroics. Just remove the levers your excuses pull. Here's something crucial, my friend, the tech boundary. Keep your phone out of the bedroom. Or if you have to use it as an alarm, put it in a box with a timer. Better yet, use an old-school analog alarm. Yes, one of those. Because your first contact with your phone is your first contact with chaos. And if you start your day reacting, you've already lost. The goal is to create a 3-minute launch sequence, a simple, concrete ritual to start in motion, not in reflection. Drink water, do a basic stretch, knock out one micro task lasting 60 to 120 seconds. Make your bed, brew coffee, open your work document. That builds momentum. Behavioral inertia works like this. When you shorten the gap between signal and action, you reduce internal negotiation. You're not chasing motivation. You're designing a system that doesn't rely on it. Epictetus said something that fits perfectly here. It's not things that upset us, but our opinions about things. Translate that to the side of your bed. It's not sleep that defeats you, it's the story you tell yourself about needing 5 more minutes to function. That narrative is what steals your morning, and with it, control over your entire day. And if it's really hard for you, remember Mel Robbins' 5-second rule: count backwards and move. It's not magic, it's a tool. It connects perfectly with Stoicism because it turns judgment into a brief, conscious action. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet on the floor. Decision made. The rest of your day already feels different. Write down your first-minute plan the night before. Name it. Make it real. Rename your alarm with a phrase that reflects your identity. I'm someone who follows through. It might seem silly, but your brain picks up on these cues. And if you want to add a small layer of accountability, send a short message to a friend first thing in the morning. In motion. 2 words. That's enough. You don't need to explain. Just give proof you showed up. At the end of the day, note whether you followed through on that first action. If you didn't, don't beat yourself up. Adjust the friction for tomorrow. Maybe the alarm was too far. Maybe your phone was too close. Maybe you need to go to bed 15 minutes earlier. Productivity isn't about perfection, it's about conscious iteration. Every day is a new experiment in coherence. We're not trying to fall in love with the morning. We're trying to love ourselves in the moment we choose. Because if you can build a week where each day begins with one act of loyalty to yourself, it doesn't matter if the rest of the world follows or not, you're already in motion. Success doesn't start with a huge project. It starts the moment you get up without betraying yourself. Second teaching. Move if you truly want to move forward. Picture this. The sun is setting behind the hills of Rome. The streets are beginning to empty. But one man walks against the flow, Seneca. His footsteps echo over worn stones. He's not rushing, but he's not stopping either. His robe shifts with each stride, the dust of the day rising beneath his sandals. He breathes deeply, calmly, as if measuring every breath. His hands hang loose by his sides. He's not exercising. He's forging something deeper. Character. As he passes under a stone arch, he reflects on something that feels more relevant today than ever. An undisciplined body drags the mind down precisely when focus is most needed. He knows it because he's lived it. Entire days spent in front of scrolls making political decisions, enduring endless conversations. And when the mind hits saturation, it's the body that brings clarity back. Walking isn't a luxury, it's a tool. If you want to make progress on what truly matters, you can't stay still waiting for inspiration to arrive. You have to move toward it. Now tell me honestly, how long were you sitting today? Because if your body stays still, so does your will. Movement isn't just about health, it's a message you send yourself. I'm still here, I'm still in control. And that signal, repeated throughout the day, changes everything. Because movement isn't fitness, it's energy management. It's the ignition switch for focus. Brief, intentional physical activity before a difficult task improves attention and increases your tolerance for discomfort. Think of it like a water pump. The well won't give you water unless you pump for a few seconds. Your mind is the well, your body, the pump. Without that initial action, no clarity flows. Picture this: 20 squats beside your desk before opening your inbox. 3 deep breaths every 45 minutes when standing up. A 10-minute walk to reset between work blocks. They're small actions, but each one lights something up inside you that was asleep. So, how do you apply it? Build micro-activators before key tasks. A short mobility sequence. A 5 to 10-minute walk. The idea is to begin the task with a more relaxed nervous system. Work in 45 to 50-minute blocks. When you finish, stand up. Move your shoulders, neck, hips. Return with oxygen and less mental clutter. If you have meetings, turn them into walking meetings whenever possible. Headphones on. Record voice notes as ideas come. You'll notice that conversations flow differently when you're not stuck in a chair. Here's a simple physical hack. Leave something in sight, like a jump rope. If you see it, you move. If it's hidden, it doesn't exist. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you think. And if you want to build a truly productive week, your space has to push you to move, not pin you in the same position for hours. Socrates understood this without needing modern science. Long, silent walks, not because he had a fitness tracker counting steps, but because he knew that thinking with a still body eventually dulls clarity. Some ideas only show up when you're walking. Some problems resolve better in motion than in front of a screen. Make it part of your routine. Walking while thinking isn't wasting time. It's thinking better. Movement isn't about pushing yourself to the edge every day. That would be confusing Stoicism with masochism. It's applied temperance. Just enough effort to sharpen yourself, not to break yourself. Stoicism isn't punishment. It's coherence. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the power to live as you wish." Productive translation: if you want focus, create physical conditions that make it possible. The endless chair isn't freedom. It's a gentle shackle that weakens you without you noticing. Yes, we all crave that deep attention when we want a productive week. But here's what many forget: that attention requires a body that's available. Don't replace philosophy with empty technique. Complement it with energetic hygiene. Movement is part of that hygiene. It's not an extra, it's the foundation. Try this. Before opening any app, do 3 minutes of hip and back mobility. Call it your kinesthetic gateway. After each work block, walk while saying your next task's goal out loud. That anchors your intention and clears your mind. And if you've been sitting for more than 2 hours, buy yourself 10 minutes of gentle movement so you can sit down again with permission. It's not a random rule. It's a reminder that your body isn't just a chair with a heartbeat. Picture Marcus Aurelius in a military camp, cold, tired, burdened with endless responsibilities. Still, he walks the perimeter, not to hit a step count on his wrist. He does it to remind his body who's in charge. That's the message you need every day. It's not about records, it's about reliability. A body that moves a little and often is worth more than a body that runs a marathon once and disappears for 3 weeks. The important work, the one that really matters, needs you to be available. Movement is the key to accessing that version of you. Don't put it off, don't debate it. Move even if you don't feel like it. Because the body follows action and the mind follows the body. If you want a week where everything flows with more clarity, start by moving what's still. The rest will follow. And before we move on, here's a micro challenge for this week. 7 days of a mindful walk after lunch, no phone. Notice the effect on your afternoon drowsiness. Notice how your mental clarity improves without you forcing anything. That's the kind of change that builds productive weeks. Small, sustainable, cumulative. Are you in? Drop it in the comments. 1 week in motion. And if you see someone else doing it, encourage them. Because this community grows when we push each other forward. Third habit. Write to bring order to your mind. Picture this. It's the end of the day. Your desk looks like a battlefield. Piles of paper, 17 browser tabs still open, notifications you never closed. Your mind mirrors that chaos, Scattered thoughts, half-finished tasks, incomplete conversations. Everything spinning non-stop. You know the feeling. You did a lot but got nowhere, and you also know tomorrow will be exactly the same if you don't stop now to sort it all out. You sit down, close your laptop, and open a notebook. 5 minutes later, something shifts. The mental noise starts turning into clarity. It's not magic, it's structure. That was Marcus Aurelius's nightly practice in his military tent. After dealing with ambitious generals and decisions affecting thousands of lives, he'd pull out his journal. He wasn't looking for likes or applause, he was looking for lucidity. What for you might be a journal, for him was invisible training. A space to review his day, his decisions, his reactions, to bring order to what had happened so he could face what was coming. He wrote so he wouldn't lose himself in the chaos. And that's the key. Productivity doesn't start with action. It starts with direction. If your mind is full of unordered tasks, you'll work twice as hard to move half as far. My friend, your mind is like a browser with too many tabs open. Every unresolved thought eats up memory. Every open loop takes up space in the background. Your brain tries to keep it all running at once. The result: sluggishness, exhaustion, and that nagging sense you're about to forget something important. Writing is how you close what's unnecessary to free up processing power. It's not therapy, though sometimes it feels like it. It's pure strategy. Because once you offload your system, your focus returns, and with it, your ability to decide what actually matters. Seneca said it best: writing is the art of teaching, even the writer. He used writing to review his own character, like an athlete reviewing their technique after each session. Writing isn't a luxury for daydreamers. It's a tool for self-assessment. It forces you to look at what you'd rather ignore. It shows you patterns you didn't notice when you were just thinking. When something's only in your head, it can be anything. When you write it down, it becomes defined. And what's defined can be changed. Now, think of yourself. Imagine waking up feeling like you have 1,000 things to do. Your instinct is to check WhatsApp, read your emails, jump straight into the day without direction, but stop. Before you touch a single screen, jot down 3 lines. What truly matters today. What you can let go of. What you're feeling right now. 5 sentences are enough to clear your focus. You don't need pages of deep reflection. You just need to get out of your head what's clouding your vision. That simple act gives you back control before the world tries to take it. Build a daily briefing in a physical notebook. Writing by hand slows down your thoughts just enough for you to actually think them through. When you type, your mind races ahead of your reflection. The words come out, but you don't process them. Writing by hand synchronizes what you think with what you articulate. That's where clarity begins. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be real. Write without filters. Write what's really there, not what you think should be there. Honesty on the page is where transformation begins. Use 3 symbols or colors if it helps. A lightning bolt for urgent ideas, a square for emotions you need to process, an arrow for specific tasks. This way, your brain knows what needs action and what just needs acknowledgement. Not everything you write requires immediate action. Some things just need to be seen, named, put on paper so they stop screaming inside you. Once a week, reread an old page. Not to judge yourself, but to spot patterns that gives you an objective view of your progress. Shows you whether you're moving forward or just going in circles. This is a core habit of highly successful people. Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group, always carries a notebook. Literally always. In meetings, on planes, even at the beach. He's publicly said that if he doesn't write it down, he forgets it. And it's not because of poor memory. It's because he knows the mind isn't a hard drive. It's a processor. It's not meant to store things. It's meant to think. When you try to hold everything in your head, your ability to analyze crashes. When you get it out on paper, you free up your mind for what really matters. Deciding, creating, solving. Branson doesn't write for ego. He writes for clarity. The mind lies. It tells you you've done a lot when you haven't. It convinces you that you worked hard when you were just busy. Data doesn't lie. Marcus Aurelius did the same with his thoughts. He didn't trust his memory. He trusted what he wrote. Because what's written doesn't get distorted over time. It doesn't get sugar-coated. It doesn't justify itself. It's there, raw and real. And that kind of honesty is what allows you to improve. And this isn't random advice. A University of Texas study showed that writing about your worries lowers cortisol levels, the stress hormone. But the real shift is mental. When you write, you move from feeling to understanding. And understanding gives you the power to choose. Because as long as something stays in your head, it's blurry, untouchable. But once you put it on paper, it becomes something you can analyze, adjust, and resolve. Just writing, "I feel overwhelmed because I have 3 open projects," gives you the solution. Close one before opening another. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that sums this all up. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Understand this, and you will find strength. On paper, that thought turns into action. What you don't write down controls you. What you do write down starts to obey. You don't need to write pages every day, my friend. Just one sentence that brings back direction. Because writing doesn't change you overnight. It trains you. Day by day, it turns noise into clarity, and clarity into results. And once you've written every morning for a week, something unlocks. You no longer start your day lost. You start with a map. You know what to hit first. You know what to ignore, without guilt. You know when your mind is lying to you, and when there's actually something to fix. That difference is what separates a chaotic week from a productive one. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things, with intention, and that intention begins on the page, before you touch a single task. 4th lesson. Stop procrastinating and do what you said you would. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? That's the most expensive sentence in the world. It's cost millions of projects, relationships, and opportunities. Seneca knew it when he wrote, "You could be good today, but instead you choose to be so tomorrow." Every day you postpone, your power weakens. Not because you're losing ability, but because you're losing trust in yourself. Your mind starts learning that your words mean nothing. And once that happens, discipline becomes impossible. Think of every unfinished task as a stone in your shoe. Small, almost unnoticeable, but just enough to keep you from running. And the real problem isn't the stone, it's that you get used to walking with it. You forget that you could take it out. You convince yourself that this is just how it is. But with every step, it hurts a little more. Until one day you can't move forward anymore. And then you look back and see everything you could have done. If only you had acted when you said you would. There's probably something you've been putting off for months. That IKEA shelf still sitting in the box since your birthday. Every time you walk past the living room, it silently calls you out. "One of these days I'll put it together," you tell yourself. But that day never comes. Deep down, it's not laziness. It's fear. Fear of opening the instructions and not understanding them. Fear of starting and realizing you're missing parts. Fear that after 3 hours of building, it ends up crooked, and you have to admit you're not as handy as you thought. Until one day, tired of seeing it there, you apply something the Stoics practiced without needing a name for it. You open the box, lay the pieces on the floor, and start no YouTube tutorials. No waiting for the perfect weekend. No negotiating with yourself. 2 hours later, the shelf is assembled. It's not perfect. One screw is left over. There's always one. But it's done. And the point isn't the shelf. It's that you've started to trust yourself again. Because following through, even on something as trivial as a piece of furniture, is the only real path to self-esteem. And each time you do it, your mind learns that your words have weight. Epictetus taught that there is no progress without action. His exact words, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." There's no real productivity without consistency. The Stoics practiced this with military-like discipline. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They acted in the present because they knew the future is never guaranteed, and that mindset made them unstoppable. Not because they were more talented, but because they didn't delay. They understood that action creates momentum, and momentum creates results. The mind avoids whatever it associates with pain, discomfort, or judgment. That's why you delay. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is wired to avoid discomfort. It's a survival mechanism that now works against you. But here's the trick that changes everything. The pain of doing it is temporary. The pain of not doing it is permanent. Once you understand that, you choose to act. Because the discomfort of starting lasts minutes, but the guilt of avoiding it lasts for days, weeks, even months. And that guilt builds up into a weight you can't shake off. This is something that happened to a boy you've definitely heard of, though few know how his story began. His name was Theodore Roosevelt. He was asthmatic, weak, sickly. He spent nights struggling to breathe while other kids ran and played with ease. One day, his father sat beside him and said something that would mark him for life. "You have the mind, but not the body, and without the body, the mind can't go anywhere." Theodore could have given up. He could have said, "That's just how I am," or "maybe when I'm older." But he didn't. He promised to forge his body, and here's what matters. He didn't wait to feel ready. He didn't wait for the perfect gym or ideal trainer. He started with what he had: improvised weights, exercises he could barely complete, and a will stronger than his weakness. That early decision, that first step without perfect conditions, turned him into a symbol of action. And the lesson still holds. You don't need to be ready to begin, you need to begin to get ready. Fifth lesson. Resting well is also being productive. Can you imagine what Rome looked like at nightfall? The streets are full, merchants closing their stalls, politicians arguing on corners, soldiers returning from training, everyone's rushing. Everyone's in a hurry. Everyone believes resting is wasting time, but one man watches the chaos from his window, Seneca. He prepares to sleep while the world is still spinning, and before closing his eyes, he writes in his journal, "The greatest loss is wasted time." But he's not talking about leisure, he's talking about unconscious rest, because sleep is not surrender. It's recharging to fight better the next day. And here's the truth almost no one wants to admit. Not resting doesn't make you more productive, it makes you less sharp. A tired mind makes worse decisions. It confuses urgency with importance. It drifts, it gets irritated, it burns out. And productivity, my friend, is not measured in active hours. It's measured in quality of focus. The Stoics understood that the body is the vehicle of the soul. If the vehicle overheats, the mind locks up. It doesn't matter how badly you want to move forward. If your system is overloaded, you won't think of rest as your nightly workshop. During the day, your brain is working nonstop, processing information, making decisions, managing emotions. All of that wears you down. While you sleep, your brain repairs what the day damaged. It organizes memories, clears toxins, resets circuits. If you don't shut off the engine, you burn out the whole system. And then it doesn't matter how many productivity techniques you know, your brain simply won't respond. Let me tell you about Alicia, the founder of a tech startup. She used to work until 2 in the morning, proud of her sacrifice. "While others sleep, I build," she told herself. But she began to notice something. She was making impulsive decisions, forgetting important meetings. Her team stopped trusting her judgment because she kept changing her mind. One day, a mentor asked her how many hours she slept. 4, 5 if I'm lucky. The answer was blunt. You're not sacrificing, you're sabotaging yourself. Alicia decided to run an experiment. For 1 month, she would get 8 hours of sleep, no exceptions. Less time working, more time sleeping. The first few days were tough. She felt guilty, like she was betraying her ambition, but something began to shift. Her decisions became clearer, her meetings more effective. Her team noticed the change before she did. By the end of the month, she had doubled her mental performance while working fewer hours. Because it's not about how long you're awake, it's about how present you are when you work. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He had a nightly ritual he protected with military discipline. Before sleeping, he would write what he did well and what he could improve. He didn't go to bed with mental noise. He went to bed with closure. His rest was intentional, not the result of exhaustion. He didn't wait to collapse, he chose to rest because he understood his mind was his most valuable tool, and valuable tools must be taken care of. Want to have the most productive week of your life? Then create a landing ritual 1 hour before bed. Warm lights, no screens, no work talk. Your brain needs signals that the day is over. If you work right up until the last minute and then crash, your mind keeps processing in the background. You're not really resting. Read something light or philosophical, not to learn but to quiet your mind. Use a closing phrase each night, something like, "I did what I could today." That brings peace and stops the mental spinning. And please ditch zombie mode before bed. Don't fall asleep scrolling on your phone. That blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. It blocks melatonin. Your sleep becomes shallow. Shut everything off on purpose. The last act of your day should be conscious, not automatic. During deep sleep, your memory is consolidated and your ability to concentrate is reset. Skipping that process is like trying to reboot a computer without ever shutting it down. Each day it runs slower until it crashes. And then you wonder why you're stuck, when the answer has been in your nights all along. The ones you've been stealing from yourself. It's like leading an army. Your soldiers are your neurons. They fight all day, processing, deciding, reacting. If you don't let them sleep, they become clumsy, disobedient, vulnerable. But when you let them rest, they come back strong, focused, and ready for the next battle. That's how your brain works. You can't demand performance without giving it recovery. Sleeping well isn't wasting time, it's optimizing it. Every hour of quality sleep saves you 3 hours of daytime inefficiency. Seneca said it long before we had sleep studies or smartwatches. Rest is part of the work of the wise. Because the wise understand that productivity isn't a non-stop endurance race. It's a sustainable rhythm where effort and recovery alternate. Seneca also wrote something that should be engraved on every desk. People fear death, but they bury themselves little by little in sleepless nights. If rest becomes neglect, you're dying while still alive. Every night you sacrifice in the name of doing more is stealing your clarity, your health, your years. It's not heroic, it's self-destructive. Resting with intention is a form of discipline. Sleeping well is preparing to win tomorrow. Just like warriors sharpen their swords before battle, you sharpen your mind when you respect your rest. And when Monday comes and your energy is real, not faked with caffeine, everything changes. Your decisions are sharper, your focus is deeper, your patience is stronger. That's the difference between surviving the week and mastering it. Sixth lesson. Learn something new every day, even if it's small. Have you ever wondered what you'd do if you had no formal way to study? Epictetus didn't have a university. He had no personal library or access to Rome's top scholars. He was a slave. His classroom was life itself. He learned by observing, by asking, by reflecting on everything that happened to him. What's remarkable is that this attitude, this quiet hunger to understand, made him freer than many educated men of his time. Because for the Stoics, learning wasn't about collecting information. It was about expanding awareness. It was about turning every experience into wisdom. And here's the trap almost everyone falls into. When you stop learning, you disconnect from growth. And if you're not growing, you're repeating the same mistakes. The human mind is wired to evolve, but routine dulls it. You do the same thing every day, you think the same thoughts, you react the same way. And then you wonder why nothing changes in your life. The answer is simple. Because you're not changing either. Learning is the purest way to stay awake. Picture your brain as a muscle that only grows if you challenge it. If you do the same mental exercises every day, it stagnates, it settles, it becomes predictable. But even a small new challenge keeps it alive. A concept you don't understand, a skill that makes you uncomfortable, a question that forces you to think differently. That's what activates neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections. And those connections make you more mentally flexible and more resilient to stress. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And he meant it literally. He read, studied, and wrote until the last day of his life, not for vanity or to prove anything. He did it out of duty. For him, learning was an act of humility, a way to acknowledge there's always something greater than what you already know, that wisdom isn't something you reach, it's something you pursue, and that daily pursuit hides a power most people miss. There's an old Persian legend about the inventor of chess. When he presented the game to the king was so impressed he offered any reward. The inventor asked only for grains of wheat, 1 on the first square of the board, 2 on the second, 4 on the third, doubling with each square. The king laughed, thinking it was a modest request. But when his mathematicians did the math, they discovered something terrifying. There wasn't enough wheat in the entire kingdom to cover the 64th square. That's how learning something small every day works. It's not today's bit of knowledge that transforms you, it's the exponential accumulation. One concept today, another tomorrow. And in 6 months you've developed a capability that once felt impossible. Productivity doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from quiet, invisible consistency that multiplies over time. Like the grains of wheat on the chessboard, what starts as almost nothing builds into something no one thought possible. So, my friend, want to build a truly productive week? Then learn something that makes you uncomfortable. What you resist most is usually what teaches you the most. If you're into numbers, read philosophy. If you love words, learn how a spreadsheet works. That discomfort is a sign of growth. Listen to someone younger or older than you. Wisdom has no age, only perspective. A young person can teach you technology. An older person can teach you patience. Both have something you don't. Here's the key. Apply what you learned the same day. Knowledge you don't use becomes noise. It's not enough to read a book or watch a video. You have to do something with it, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. Because action is what anchors learning. Ask yourself at the end of the day, what did I discover today that I didn't know yesterday? If the answer is nothing, then you didn't grow, you just existed. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the known world, was still seeking teachers. He never believed he was above learning. He said, "If someone can prove me wrong, I'll gladly change." That open mindset is the core of all improvement, because ego kills growth. When you think you know it all, you stop asking questions. And when you stop asking, you start dying, intellectually. Think of knowledge like fire. Share it and it spreads. Keep it to yourself and it dies. Learning something new each day doesn't just transform you, it transforms those around you, because when you grow, you raise others up without even trying. The way you think shifts. The way you solve problems improves, and that spreads. Learning something new increases your efficiency, my friend. Every skill saves you time and prevents future mistakes. Every concept you integrate becomes a tool. Disciplined curiosity turns experience into advantage. And that advantage is what separates a mediocre week from one where you actually move forward. Every day without learning is a day on repeat. But every small learning changes your mind, and with it your path. Learning isn't just another item on your to-do list. It's the silent engine of lasting productivity, because the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. And the moment you stop growing, you start dying, even if you're still breathing. Breathing lesson. Control your energy, not the world. Can you imagine Marcus Aurelius today waking up in his apartment on an ordinary Monday? He checks his phone. 3 meetings canceled, a project just changed direction, and an email from his boss that says, "We need to talk." To top it off, the subway's on strike. Most of us would be cursing before even getting out of bed. But Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and master of self-control, would take a deep breath and write in his phone notes. Because yes, in this version he uses digital notes. You cannot control events, only your mind's response to them. That phrase, written nearly 2,000 years ago while facing wars and betrayal, remains the foundation of modern productivity. Because problems change shape, but the principle stays the same. Direct your energy toward what depends on you. Marcus Aurelius didn't have emails or transit strikes, but he had border revolts, corrupt senators, and power-hungry generals. The chaos was different, but the response was identical. Don't fight what you can't change. Focus your power on what you can control. And this is the problem that ruins most weeks. Every day, you waste hours trying to control what you can't. The weather that delays your meeting, the boss who changes their mind, the algorithm that doesn't favor you, the person who doesn't respond the way you expected. You get irritated, complain, and wear yourself down. But what truly destroys your productivity isn't the unexpected. It's your reaction to it. Because every time you fight what you can't change, you're giving your energy away to something that will give you nothing in return. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about redirecting them, turning frustration into focus, turning noise into clarity. Think of your energy like your phone battery. Every unnecessary thought drains it in the background. An argument in your head with someone who's not even there. A complaint about something that already happened. A comparison with someone you don't even know. All of it drains your charge while you're trying to move forward. Controlling your energy means closing the mental apps you're not even using. Let me tell you what a commercial pilot does during a storm. She can't control the weather. She can't make the turbulence go away. But she can control her attention. While passengers grip their seats and the plane shakes, she focuses on what's within her control, the instruments, her decisions, her communication with the tower. Her calm doesn't come from the situation. It comes from her focus. After landing, she says something that should be engraved everywhere. I don't control the sky, but I control how I fly in it. That's Stoic productivity in action. Not denying reality, but choosing what to do with it. Epictetus said it with brutal simplicity. Some things are up to us, and some are not. If you apply that distinction, you eliminate half your daily distractions, because most of your stress comes from trying to move what won't move, from trying to change people, from wishing the world worked according to your expectations. But the world owes you nothing. People act according to their minds, not your hopes. Accepting that doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing yourself. Before reacting to anything that irritates you, take a 3-second pause. It's enough time to choose a better response. 3 seconds where your prefrontal cortex can take over before your amygdala triggers an emotional outburst. Because self-control isn't ancient philosophy, it's applied neuroscience. When you react impulsively, your primitive brain is in charge. When you choose how to respond, your executive brain is in charge, the part that plans and makes smart decisions. Want a practical tool for this week? Divide your worries into 2 columns, within my control and outside my control. Write them down. You'll see something eye-opening. Most of them fall in the second column. And there's your problem. You're spending your energy on what you can't change. Focus only on the first column. That's where your real power lives. Don't try to fix people. Improve your example. That has more impact and drains less energy. Because people don't change because you tell them to. They change when they see something that inspires them. There's a tennis player not well known outside the professional circuit, Daniil Medvedev. He's not the most charismatic or celebrated, but he's got something rare: brutal emotional control. When he loses a crucial point, he doesn't smash his racket or yell. He focuses on his breathing. 3 deep inhales. That 10-second pause brings him back to the present and saves his energy for the next shot. While others mentally collapse after a mistake, he resets. That ability to let go of what just happened and focus on what's next is what separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck. Anytime you feel frustrated, say to yourself, "This is part of the training too." Because it is. Every unexpected obstacle is a chance to practice internal control. Every difficult person is a gym for your patience. You're not hoping the obstacles disappear. You're strengthening yourself by facing them clearly. Imagine driving on a mountain road. If you get distracted by the scenery, you go off track. But if you focus only on the next curve, you make it. Life is the same. Your energy follows your attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that could be in any modern leadership book, yet it's almost 2,000 years old. If something external disturbs you, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. Read that again. It's not what happens. It's what you choose to think about what happens, and that changes everything. Because if what affects you is your interpretation, then you're in control. You can change your judgment. You can choose to see the problem differently. When you learn to direct your energy instead of scattering it, you become unshakable, my friend. Not because nothing affects you, but because you know where to place your attention. And productivity isn't about running faster or working longer hours. It's about staying grounded while the world spins. It's knowing that no matter how many things go wrong, you stay focused on the one thing you do control, your response. And when you build a week where every day you choose your reaction instead of letting circumstances choose it for you, everything changes. You don't work less, but you move further. Because your energy goes where it should, toward what truly matters. 8th lesson, plan less, focus more. Have you ever spent an hour planning your day only to end up getting almost nothing done? It's a cruel irony. You spend more time organizing tasks than actually doing them. You write lists, color code priorities, sort digital folders. And at the end of the day, you stare at that perfect list and realize you only checked off 2 things. The worst part is that planning can turn into another form of procrastination. You feel productive because you're doing something, but you're not actually moving forward. Marcus Aurelius didn't make endless to-do lists. He simply asked himself each morning, what does nature require of me today? A simple question that cut through all the noise over planning is trying to control the future. But the future doesn't exist yet. Focus, on the other hand, is about mastering the present. Plans are meant to guide you, not trap you. Focus is what turns your intentions into results. You could have the best plan in the world, but if you don't sit down and execute it with full attention, it's just a pretty piece of paper. Imagine you're in a forest with a flawless map. If you spend the whole day drawing alternative routes, analyzing every path, calculating every turn, but never walk, the map means nothing. Productivity doesn't come from the map. It comes from taking the next step. Let me tell you about an entrepreneur I know. He had a perfect system. Synced calendars, task management apps, hourly reminders, everything spotless. But real progress? Zero. His projects stalled. His goals stayed in the same phase. One day, frustrated, he did something radical. He deleted 80% of his tasks. He kept just 3 weekly priorities. 3, not 30, not 15. 3 things that actually mattered. The result? More progress. Less stress. Because he stopped feeling productive by staying busy and started being productive by doing what counted. The lesson is simple. Less planning, more conscious execution. Seneca warned, no wind is favorable to the sailor who doesn't know where he's going. But once you do know your direction, you don't need to keep checking the wind every 5 minutes. You don't need to update your plan 5 times a day. You need to act, because clarity comes from action, not analysis. When you move, you see what works and what doesn't. When you only plan, everything seems possible, but nothing happens. Want to change this in your week? Spend the first 10 minutes of your day defining one main goal, not 5. 1, the most important one. The one that, if completed, will make everything else easier or irrelevant. And don't start your day by checking emails. Start with that task, because if the first hour of your day is spent reacting to what others want from you, you've already lost control. Your day is being designed by someone else, not you. Break big projects into 2-hour battle blocks. No multitasking, no notifications, just you and that task. Your brain isn't built to jump between things. Every task switch burns mental glucose. That's why doing one thing at a time is more efficient. Focus isn't rigidity, it's energy conservation. It's giving your mind what it needs to operate at its best. Continuity. And if a task has been sitting on your list for more than 3 days without being touched, make a decision, either delete it or do it now. Because those zombie tasks that follow you from list to list silently drain you. Every time you see them, your brain burns energy, just reminding you they're still there. It's invisible weight you carry every day. Let it go. There's a massive difference between being busy and being effective. You can run around all day and never move forward. You can work 12 hours and not progress on anything that matters. The Stoics lived this truth long before we had productivity apps. They practiced focused, noise-free action. Epictetus didn't give his students 100 theories. He gave them one daily exercise: observe their thoughts. A simple practice, repeated with focus, does more than 1,000 improvement plans, because repetition with attention builds habit, and habit builds results. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were once asked in an interview what the secret to success was. Both gave the same one-word answer: focus. 2 millennia earlier, Marcus Aurelius already knew it. The difference between someone who advances and someone who stays stuck isn't talent or luck. It's sustained focus on what matters. Planning gives you comfort, but only focus gives you results. You don't need to do more, my friend, you need to do it better. Because at the end of the week, you won't remember how many tasks were on your list. You'll remember whether you made progress on what really mattered. And that only happens when you stop trying to plan the future and start mastering the present. Because productivity isn't measured by how much you do, but by how much meaning there is in what you do. And meaning doesn't come from the perfect plan. It comes from clear action, repeated with intention, until what matters most is no longer just an idea, but a reality. 9th habit. Saying no also moves you forward. How many times have you said yes knowing full well you wanted to say no? You do it to be polite, to avoid conflict, to not let anyone down. But Seneca saw this as a form of modern slavery. You don't need chains to be a prisoner. It's enough to not know how to set boundaries. Every yes you don't mean slowly steals your energy, your time, and something even worse, your coherence. Because when you say yes to everything, you're saying no to what actually matters. Saying no isn't selfish, it's productive intelligence. Every time you accept something that doesn't bring you closer to your purpose, you're delaying what truly belongs on your agenda. The Stoics spoke of temperance, using strength only where it's needed, not spreading yourself thin across 100 fronts, but concentrating your power on what's truly worthwhile. And for that, you need to learn how to shut doors. Not every opportunity is a good one. Not every person deserves your attention. Not everything that seems important actually is. Think of your time as a house with all the doors wide open. Every person, every notification, every meeting or favor request walks in uninvited. Some mean well, others just take up space because they can. And there you are, in the middle of all that traffic, trying to find room for your own priorities. But there is none, because you never closed the door. Learning to say no is exactly that. Closing the door and choosing who gets access. Deciding who gets your time and your energy. You've probably been there. You're at work, fully focused on something important. Then a coworker pops in. Got a minute? You know it's not a minute. You know it's 30. But you say yes, because you don't want to seem rude. Result? You lose your flow, and it takes another 20 minutes to get back into it. Or worse, someone texts you asking for a quick favor that has nothing to do with you. Just a sec, please. And there you go again, dropping your task to solve someone else's, because you don't know how to say no. You live busy, always rushing, always with 1,000 things pending. But when you look at your real progress, there's nothing. Zero movement on your main projects all day, putting out other people's fires, while yours never get lit. Until one day you read a quote from Marcus Aurelius that hits you. If it doesn't contribute to your purpose, it's noise, so you decide to apply it. You start saying no to anything non-essential. Not to everything, just to what doesn't matter. And in a month, everything changes. Your focus doubles. Your mental energy comes back. You don't work more hours. You just work on the right things. Epictetus taught that no one can force you to go against your will. if you stay in control of yourself. And that includes saying no calmly, without guilt. Because the problem isn't rejecting something, it's feeling bad about it. But if your no is aligned with your values, there's nothing to apologize for. You're protecting what matters. And that protection is discipline, not ego. Before saying yes to any commitment, ask yourself one simple question. Does this bring me closer to my current goals? If it doesn't, it's a no. No matter how tempting it sounds, no matter who's asking, if it pulls you off track, it's a distraction disguised as opportunity. Here's a phrase that changes everything. Instead of saying, "I can't," say, "It's not a priority right now." It's firm. It doesn't require justification. You're not saying the person or the project isn't worthy. You're saying your focus is elsewhere, and that's respectable. 10th lesson, turn your routines into meaningful rituals. There's a big difference between living on autopilot and living with intention. Most people repeat the same actions every day without thinking. They wake up, shower, eat, work, all in autopilot, like gears in a machine. But the Stoics turned the ordinary into training for the soul. They didn't do different things. They did the same things differently. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write in his journal. He meditated on every word as if it were a sacred act. Each line was a chance to sharpen his mind. An empty routine dulls you. A conscious ritual wakes you up. It's not about changing what you do. It's about changing how you do it. When you add purpose to your daily actions, you turn the ordinary into inner strength. And that transformation doesn't require huge shifts. It just requires presence, to be there, fully, in each gesture. Let me confess something. I used to hate mornings. I'd wake up late, rush to get ready, and show up at my desk already drained. Coffee in hand while scrolling my phone, reading news I didn't care about, and messages that could wait. That's how I started every day. And then I'd wonder why I felt scattered. Until one day, tired of feeling mentally wrecked before 9 a.m., I decided to turn my daily coffee into a ritual. No phone, no noise, just silence. I prepared the coffee slowly, as if it were the only thing that mattered in that moment. I'd sit, look out the window, breathe. I'd think about how I wanted to feel that day. I didn't check anything until the cup was empty. That tiny shift, so simple it might sound silly, transformed my energy. I no longer arrived at work exhausted. I arrived centered, because I had started the day by choosing my mental state instead of letting circumstances choose it for me. And if I could change that, as someone who lived on autopilot, so can you. You don't need big changes, just presence in the small things, and you can do it just like I did. Your day is a ceremony. Every action can be a form of mental training. Making breakfast slowly, making your bed without rushing, walking to work without headphones, just feeling your steps. The ordinary becomes meaningful when you do it with presence. Epictetus said, "In everything you do, ask yourself what you are doing." That's the essence of ritual. Not living automatically, but living aware of every moment. Pick one daily action. It could be your shower, your breakfast, your first email, and give it intention. Ask yourself, what does this represent for me? If your shower is your wake-up call, make it that. Don't think about work while you're in there. Feel the water, breathe, mentally prepare. If breakfast is your calm moment, don't ruin it by scrolling your phone. Eat slowly, savor, breathe. Every action can be training if you give it space. Add a symbolic start to your day. One deep breath, a guiding phrase that reminds you of your purpose, a physical gesture that marks the conscious beginning of your day. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be as simple as opening a window and saying quietly, "Today I choose to be present." That phrase, repeated every morning, anchors your intention. It pulls you out of autopilot and places you in the now. Use simple objects as mental anchors. A mug you use only for that moment of calm. A notebook where you only write your end-of-day reflection. A candle you light when it's time to focus. These objects aren't magic, but your mind links them to specific mental states, and that link helps you shift into those states more easily. Rituals reduce anxiety. They bring structure and meaning. They turn the ordinary into emotional stability, which boosts both productivity and clarity. Seneca used to walk silently at sunset, not out of habit but as mental discipline. It was his daily moment of reflection, his way of sweeping the noise from his mind before sleep. He didn't need temples or grand ceremonies, just awareness, just presence in each step. And that simple ritual kept him grounded amid the chaos of Rome. Serena Williams repeats the same movements before each serve. Michael Phelps listens to the same music before a race, not out of superstition, but to trigger a mental state. Because when a ritual is in place, your mind knows what to do. It doesn't need convincing, it just follows the pattern you've trained. Close your day with a reverse ritual, a review of what you did, a gesture that says, "I'm done for today." Maybe it's closing your laptop with intention, writing a single line in your journal, turning off your desk light and saying in your mind, "See you tomorrow." That signal tells your brain the day is over. You're no longer in work mode, and that helps you rest for real, not spend the night overthinking. Imagine your day as a symphony, my friend. You can't change every note, but you can choose how you play them. And when each note has intention, even the most ordinary days sound different. Because you don't need an extraordinary life to feel purpose, you just need to live each act with awareness. Real productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing with soul. And when you turn your routines into rituals, each day stops being a hollow repeat and becomes a chance to grow stronger, to remember who you are and where you're going. That's what turns an average week into the most productive one of your life. And if you made it this far without skipping anything, I already know something about you. You're ready for more. There's another video waiting for you on screen that takes this even further. When you're done with these lessons, go straight to it. You won't regret it. 11th lesson. Finish what you start, or you'll never move forward. Imagine your life as a workshop filled with half-finished projects. In one corner, a table with wooden pieces you never assembled. In another, a half-painted canvas that's been untouched for months. In the back, that book you started so eagerly but left at chapter 3. Everything you started is still there, waiting. And every unfinished task is an open door draining your energy. The Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Distraction is the enemy of inner peace. You can't feel calm if your mind is constantly yelling about everything you haven't completed. Finishing what you start isn't perfectionism, it's self-respect. Seneca didn't sugarcoat it. The man who begins many things completes none. And he was right. Real productivity isn't about starting projects with excitement. It's about finishing them with consistency. Because starting is easy. The hard part is sticking with it once the novelty wears off and all that's left is the work. That's where the difference lies between those who move forward and those who just collect good intentions. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of complete action. Do what you do as if it were the last thing you were going to do in your life. He wasn't being dramatic. He was talking about presence, about being fully in what you're doing until it's done. Because finishing doesn't mean doing everything. It means doing what you choose with full attention, through to the end, without jumping to the next shiny thing before closing the one before it. Think of unfinished tasks like half-written symphonies. A composer with 1,000 incomplete pieces isn't more creative than one with 10 complete works. Just more scattered, half-finished symphonies don't get played. They don't reach anyone. They just take up mental space. Your life works the same way. Every project left open is background noise that makes it harder to hear what really matters. And this isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. The Zeigarnik effect shows that the brain remembers incomplete things better than completed ones. That means the more you leave half done, the more tension your brain holds. It keeps all those open loops active in the background. That drains you. Even if you don't notice, finishing something triggers dopamine and psychological closure. Your mind lets go and shifts cleanly to the next thing. Want to build a truly productive week? Start your day by finishing a small pending task. It doesn't matter what. Maybe it's replying to that email you've been avoiding, returning that phone call, finishing that report that's 90% done. That feeling of completion, even if small, fuels the rest of your day. Your brain registers, I follow through, I finish. And that pattern strengthens with every completed task. Set a clear completion criteria before starting anything. This is done when, and write it down. Because without a clear finish line, nothing ever feels done. There's always more to tweak, always one more check. But if you never define done, you'll live in a loop of perfectionism that paralyzes you. And here's something important. If something no longer fits you, close it consciously. Finishing can also mean letting go. Not everything you start is meant to be completed. Some projects age poorly. Some goals no longer make sense. And that's okay. But don't leave them floating. Close them with intention. Write a single line in your journal. I choose to close this project because it no longer brings me closer to where I want to go. That simple act of closure frees mental space. It's not giving up. It's choosing clearly. Don't chase 10 goals at once, my friend. Finish one, celebrate it, then move on. The people who make the most progress aren't the ones who start the most things. They're the ones who finish what they start. They may have fewer projects in motion, but they have more results on the table. And by the end of the year, those results speak for themselves. Want a real-life example? Harper Lee spent years writing To Kill a Mockingbird. Years. She rewrote entire chapters, questioned every line, showed drafts to friends who gave conflicting advice, and she'd start over. The book lived more in her mind than on the page. She could have stayed there forever, trapped in perfectionism. But one day she applied something Epictetus taught plainly. Don't explain your philosophy, live it. She stopped editing, stopped doubting, and she finished. Imperfect. With things she probably would have changed later, but finished. That one book won the Pulitzer, changed American literature, and is still taught in schools 70 years later. Meanwhile, thousands of writers have almost perfect manuscripts locked away in drawers, never to be read, because imperfect action is worth more than perfect intention. Perfect intention reaches no one. Imperfect action, even clumsy, exists, and what exists can improve. What you never finish simply doesn't exist. Seneca ended each day like closing a loop. He reviewed his thoughts, reflected on his actions, and closed the day. For him, every day needed to end clean. No loose ends, because a scattered soul doesn't rest. It might be exhausted, but it won't be at peace. Peace comes from closure, from knowing you did what you said, from being able to sleep without your mind whispering about all you left hanging. You don't need to finish everything you ever dreamed, but you do need to finish what you chose to begin, because confidence isn't built with motivation. It's built with completed actions. And when you follow through on your word, even if no one sees it, you become someone you can trust. And that trust, that quiet certainty that if you say you'll do something, you will, is what transforms a chaotic life into a life with direction. It's not about doing more. It's about finishing better. Final lesson. Review your day before going to sleep. When night falls and the noise of the day fades, the truth reveals itself. Did you live today the way you wanted, or did you merely survive? Marcus Aurelius had a ritual. Each night before sleep, he would review his actions, not with guilt but with honesty. He didn't punish himself for what went wrong. He simply observed, analyzed, and learned. It wasn't self-criticism, it was wisdom. Reviewing your day helps you avoid repeating tomorrow's mistakes. Because if you never stop to reflect on what you've done, you'll just keep doing the same things unconsciously. Personal growth doesn't come from reading motivational quotes. It comes from seeing yourself clearly. Reviewing your day is the most powerful tool for continuous improvement. It's the mirror the Stoic uses to face himself. No filters, no excuses, no justifications. Just a simple question. Was I today the person I want to be? And if the answer is no, then what can I adjust tomorrow? Think of your day like a film. If you never watch the replay, you'll never know which scenes need work. Daily reflection is that replay. Observing without judgment, learning, adjusting. It's not about being perfect, it's about being aware. And awareness is what turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, you just collect days. With reflection, you accumulate growth. Seneca did this in detail. He wrote, "When the day ends and I retire to rest, I examine my conscience. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What did I leave unresolved?" It wasn't punishment. It was soul training. Just like an athlete reviews their technique after practice, he reviewed his character after living that daily practice, repeated over years, helped shape the philosopher we remember today. Start a review journal, just for this moment. It doesn't need to be fancy, a simple notebook where each night you answer 3 questions. Write with curiosity, not judgment. Asking, "What can I adjust?" is far more useful than "Why did I fail?" The first gives you direction, the second only gives you guilt. And guilt doesn't build anything, clarity does. End your day with gratitude, one thing, however small. This retrains your attention to notice the good. It's easy to focus on what went wrong, the tense meeting, the awkward conversation, the task left unfinished. But if you only focus there, your brain learns to expect problems. When you end your day with gratitude, you teach your brain to see the full picture, not just the shadows. It's not toxic positivity, it's balance. And if your day was chaos, if everything fell apart and nothing got done, close it with a Stoic phrase: "I cannot change what happened, but I can decide how I begin tomorrow." That line cuts the cycle of rumination. It pulls you out of the past and places you in the future, where you still have control. Because staying stuck in what already happened is losing 2 days. Yesterday and tomorrow. Daily review strengthens self-awareness. It reduces stress. It improves emotional memory. People who reflect on their day with intention develop greater resilience and emotional control. Not because they're stronger, because they're more aware. And awareness is power. Because what you can't see, you can't change. What you observe clearly, you can. Epictetus urged his students to practice nightly self-reflection as a daily discipline. He said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Personal progress isn't either, it's built one reflection at a time, day by day. Not in some dramatic moment where everything changes, but in those 5 quiet minutes before bed, when you ask yourself honestly, "Was I in alignment today?" Some Olympic athletes mentally replay their movements before sleep. They visualize what they did well and mentally adjust what they can improve. This practice, mental rehearsal, accelerates learning. The Stoics did this 2,000 years ago, but not for physical movements, for their conduct, their thoughts, their responses. Reviewing your day is like sharpening a blade each night. It doesn't change its shape, but it keeps its edge. Without review, even the best character dulls. It becomes clumsy, reactive, automatic. But when you sharpen it each night with honest reflection, it stays ready, precise, conscious. The first lesson of this video was to wake up before your excuses. This last one is to fall asleep before your mental leftovers. Start the day with intention, end it with reflection. That balance between action and review is what transforms an ordinary week into a life of real progress, my friend. It's not about doing more. It's about living each day with more awareness. And when you've done this for 12 weeks straight, something shifts. You no longer need anyone to push you. You move forward on your own. Because you've built something no one can take away from you. Clarity about who you are and where you're going. And that, more than any productivity hack, is what truly changes everything. You don't need a perfect week to change your life. You just need a week lived with intention, where every decision, no matter how small, brings you closer to who you want to become. The Stoics didn't seek extraordinary lives. They sought to live each day with clarity and purpose. And that's what builds a productive week. Not doing more, but doing what's right with your full attention. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "This week, I build it myself." Reaching the end of this video is no accident. It means something in you wants to grow, and that already sets you apart from most. Subscribe and share this video with someone who needs it. That simple gesture helps us keep spreading this message of growth. On screen, you'll find a playlist to go even deeper. Click and let's keep learning together.